Yeah.
And as much as you try to encourage them to do certain things, they have to make that decision. And if they don't make that decision, it could be life or death of their business. And with this
Definitely.
happening, it probably gave people the, some people don't like to leave because it's an ego. So they'll spend their hard-earned 401ks just to keep the business alive.
Are you saying some people don't want to? Oh, they don't want to close down the business
Right.
because it's their baby, right?
It reflects. They feel it's reflecting them. It's like filing a
Oh,
bankruptcy, right?
yeah.
Most people don't like talking about filing bankruptcy, even if they need to do that. Why? It's because they don't want to feel like, oh gosh, I owe these people money and I'm not paying my obligations. I created this thing and I need to take care of it. Hence, that's the reason why the government created bankruptcy court, so that people can hopefully get themselves in a better situation by cleaning up, their debts and restructuring it by doing a bankruptcy.
Got it. So then, bankruptcy. And by the way, I clicked the button, and we're live now, which I didn't think it was gonna happen that fast. So three, two, one. Welcome everybody. Tony Martinez with Latino Tax Pro, and you just heard of Michael LaRocco, and Dan Philpott is also back as they were last week with I Know So Financial, and I love where you're going. How's it going, guys? First of all, before we jump in.
We're doing great.
We're
Awesome.
busy. We're helping people get through all this process, and it's a good day to be doing business.
I love it. And it's so funny. I clicked on the button. I thought it was going to give me a little warning, but it just started streaming. It's good. It's good. Because last week we had a little bit of difficulty with that API, but we're live. It's a nice day today here in the Salinas Valley in California. So, and as long as everyone is safe, obviously we're encountering a crisis across the world, but we got to stay optimistic, right? That's what it's all about.
Exactly.
That's
Yes.
it.
So to continue where we just started off, those of you that are joining us, you saw the stream by listening to Michael. So Michael, bankruptcy, it's a strategy. It's a financial strategy that exists to allow business owners or individuals to is it to not repay debts, or what's the strategy behind a bankruptcy to kind of move on? But doesn't your credit get affected over that?
Yes, it temporarily gets affected for a short period of time, but if you have the understand how bankruptcy works, you can reestablish your credit quite rapidly once you've completed your bankruptcy and the discharges.
Got it, got it. And it could be, but and it's interesting how you were stating earlier that say you own a business and it may not work out, right? Because sales are low and there's a lot that's going on right now. But some business owners may not, even though it's the right financial decision to do to kind of let it go or close it down. Many people want to hold on to their baby, right? It's a psychological, Michael, because or Dan, because people are just have been working for years and years to kind of, and that's their brand, and a lot of sole proprietors, you are your business, so they know you as like Martinez Landscaping, and you have clients and friends, and it's your pride and joy, but it could also be dangerous to not let it go when you have to.
Well, it's depending on the bankruptcy and depending how big your company is. You
Hmm.
may not have to go, you could do chapter 7, 13. I'm not giving you legal advice,
No, no,
or
no. This is
11,
not
which is,
this is not legal
yes, not
advice.
legal advice, or chapter
Conversation.
11, which is restructure of your debt for a business so that it helps you buy some time and give you some breathing room.
See,
Got
for
it. Got it.
as long as as long as people have existed, there's been bankruptcy. Not everything works out the way we would like it to, and sometimes we have outside influences that we really have no control over. Coronavirus would be a really good example. We didn't know, we didn't have a lot of warning that the state governments were going to say, you got to close your business. And so there wasn't a lot of time to prepare for that. You can't really prepare for it. And people recognize this. And so a way out that has been given is through bankruptcy. Everything that you think bankruptcy is or is not is your own thoughts and feelings about it. It may be what your parents put into you, what your church puts into you, what your society that you grew up puts you into. But you still have to go back to what's going to work best for me. Right?
Got it. Got it.
So sometimes we've helped clients use that type of strategy, and most of them have been hesitant to use that strategy. But after looking at their company and looking at their cash flow and looking at all the different mechanisms in their business, it was, conducive for them to do that. And they fought. A lot of them fought, because, like Dan was talking about, we learned, we have to pay our debt, blah blah blah. But every time, every one of them did that, they came back to us. It's not right for everybody. Okay, you got to look at where you're at, because you also have to do one more thing. Well, I'll talk about that in a second. But every time someone did that, they came back to us and said, I didn't realize how much I'm going to feel, or I feel better now because I did that, because this was waiting on my heart,
Wow.
and they go, I didn't realize how much it was and how difficult it was. And I thought my partner was going to be upset because we did that. Found out the partner was waiting for them to do that.
Mm.
And
Got it. So
it's really better to do it too soon than too late.
okay. Wow. And so, and obviously we're hoping for everyone to make it through this crisis, but it's healthy. I think it's healthy to view all options that exist, and it's also healthy. What do you guys say? Is it healthy for the partners, if there's various shareholders, to start having this conversation and see it not as a failure, but as a strategy that they can implement in their business?
Right.
And remember one thing too: the longer you vacillate or take your time to try to make a choice, the more stressful it is. Once you've made a choice and you start to follow through, a lot of that gets lifted off of your heart, and you can say, now what do I got to do to succeed?
Got it. That is very interesting. And so so that's something to consider. Do you guys, if anybody's for all of our viewers, do you guys help with that? If anybody needed to look at different bankruptcy, or is there somebody you connect them with, or what do you think is a good resource for people to do more research?
Well, what we do is we look at where they're at and see if there's ways to. The bankruptcy is the last thing they want to do, but it may be the only thing, and it may be the best strategy. So what we do is we sit down with them and we go through their information, go through their documentation, and then determine on what they want to do and see if it's a right fit. It's not a right fit for everybody, but it may be a right fit for them. And just to do a bankruptcy may not be the right thing to do either. Some people just say, hey, I'm going to file bankruptcy because I owe $5,000 on something. I'm like, really?
Yeah, exactly.
Now if somebody said, I'm going to file bankruptcy because I owe 80 or 90 or $100,000 on something and the revenue is not coming in, and we look at what's going on and there's no way to turn that around fast enough, then yeah, we may suggest something like that. But it also may be a restructuring, a Chapter 11, which restructures the debt, slows down the creditors, but still keeps them in business if they're in business.
Okay.
So it's depending on, and normally that's with bigger companies. They want to continue, moving forward, and they want to still be in the business. They don't just want to give everything up. So it's depending, but we can help look at that for them. And we have people that we know that can help them file that if they need to go to that next level. But the main thing is look deeply in what you're doing, um, and see what other strategies may help. There may be another strategy that's better than that, especially at this time, especially with uh, especially with the parameters that the this whole pandemic is helping them with the SBA. Before you had to be in business 2 years, and a non-collateralized debt had to be paid off in 10 years. Well, now you can get uh, with the disaster relief, e- um, you can get the what's it, EIDL,
Yeah, yeah.
EIDL loan, and first your credit score has to be above 500, and they'll extend it out 30 years, and part of it could be forgiven. So before you go file bankruptcy,
Yeah,
that
of
may
course.
be a way to look at the possibilities. Because guess what? Before this time, 10 years, 10 years payoff, 2 years in business, okay, and you had to qualify, totally qualify. There was no disaster qualification. Today, there's a disaster qualification to keep you in business. It may be wise. I tell my clients, listen, $10,000, if that saves your business, and all you have to pay is $42 a month for the next 30 years, $10,000, and it saves your business and it saves your life, saves every, why not? And you don't have to be in business for 2 years. We have a client we're working with right now that we just helped them open up their business, and this just happened. So we're working with them. So,
Oh, nice.
Yep.
and they just started their business at the beginning of the year. No one anticipated this happening. So all these different programs that the government has set forth are great programs utilized correctly and understanding how to utilize them.
Yes, a big part of the CARES Act also allows for um, unemployment. So the federal government provides an additional $600 and on top of what the state is providing the employees. I was listening to a podcast yesterday, and one of the speakers was arguing that it may not be good for business because some employees may be encouraged to be laid off or stay unemployed until I think it's the end of July where they could get that additional money. But does that make sense? You think that additional 600, was that too much, Michael or Dan?
Well, I'd like to look at it differently. It doesn't matter. Is it too much? Is it not enough? It's our money.
Ah,
They wouldn't have it if we didn't send it to them.
yeah, right.
But the reality is, so the provision in the, particularly with the payroll protection plan and also the EIDL, is that they didn't want a reduction in headcount. So there's a lot of people out there that don't qualify for unemployment for whatever reason, even though they've expanded it, right? Maybe you can't, maybe there's a business owner that can't prove how much money he actually got from the business. How do you collect unemployment? This is an opportunity. If you have employees that you don't want, let them be unemployed and find employees that you do want, because June 30 is when you have to true up the head count, and all they're really concerned about is head count. So if you go into it with 3 employees, but 2 of them decide to stay home, hire 2 more. June 30, your head count's 3, you're good.
Ah, that makes sense. So it's whatever, it's your employee count on June 30th. That's the magic day.
That's the
that
magic
single
day. Right. So they're giving,
Oh, that
like, the
makes sense.
PPP is based on 2.5 months, June 30. And you're saying you apply for 3 employees or 5 employees or whatever you have, and you just have to have that same number for that to turn into a grant on June 30.
Got it. So then that makes sense to use this as an opportunity to find talent. And talking about recruiting and finding employees and talent, Some people are becoming unemployed. So is this a good time for a business to recruit top talent because they may have maybe opportunities out there for people to look for jobs?
When's a bad time to recruit top talent?
Yeah, that's true.
Right. So one of the things, by the way, and that touches on something that a lot of people are not thinking about. If you are laid off or fired or whatever, you now have open enrollment to get your health insurance, which is why I had to step away for a minute. Somebody walked in, they've lost their job. They now qualify for the next 60 days to be able to choose on the exchange health insurance.
Oh,
So
okay.
don't neglect that if you're in that situation, right? So they've come off of their employer's health insurance. Now they've got to choose their own. And so there's options available. Some of it, depending on your income, you're going to get help with. Some of it you probably have to pay for on your own. It's still probably cheaper than COBRA.
That makes sense. So there is opportunities and programs available for either those that become unemployed or the business owners if they lose the workforce.
Right. So look for the opportunity. Don't look at the disaster. Look at the opportunity.
Exactly.
That this affords you.
Perfect. Yeah. A lot of people are looking to just make the most out of this crisis, and like you said, make it an opportunity. And even some people are now doing more things online. They're more active on social media. If their storefront is not being able to be opened, do you have any clients, Michael, that are making that change to having a stronger online presence or adapting?
A lot of them are adapting because if they can't open up their store, they have to adapt or die. And so a lot of them are adapting to becoming more presence online. And then this will build their online presence a lot bigger at the same time if they keep their brick and mortar. So
it's even having an impact on us. We have to look at what technologies do we need so that we can service customers, whether it's via Zoom or some other platform. And what do we have to put in place to be able to do that effectively and efficiently, right? So it kind of opens up an opportunity for us where we can even work remotely in most places in the country, whereas we were going to get around to it sometime. Now we have to do it today. And it's opened up a lot of opportunities just for us in the last couple of weeks.
Yes, you got to adapt. And we have a few questions here. One of the questions is regarding keeping your employees on payroll. We know that's one of the provisions if you want to possibly have the loan forgiven, but is it a proper strategy to, get the money, lay off your employees, and use it to keep the doors open if that's needed? Obviously, you have to repay the loan, but I don't know if that is that's something you could do essentially. You don't have to keep them on payroll. I mean, you do if you want to, if it'd be forgiven, but if you don't mind paying it back.
Remember, under the EIDL, so it's kind of a two-step strategy, if you will. If you can get a PPP, the payroll protection plan, quickly, use a community bank or a smaller bank that you have a good relationship with, and you can get it quickly, it's a good way to keep your employees on while you're waiting for the EIDL to be processed. Remember, the EIDL has a provision in it that's similar, which 75% of it, if it's used for employees, and 25% for rent, mortgage, and or utilities, there's $100,000 that can be forgiven in that. So use the payroll protection plan as a stepping stone while you're waiting for the EIDL to kick in.
Yeah, because it's June 30th is a magic day. We got to remember that.
Or the payroll protection plan, not for the EIDL. That's business continuation, right?
Got it.
So if you can get your employees through the next 2.5 months, hopefully we'll be open. Hopefully, whatever normal means, business coming back, but you've still got to plan out the rest of the year. What's it going to take for you to get through the rest of the year and be profitable and be prosperous? That's what you should be using the EIDL for. See, I'm afraid that a lot of people have treated this like they did toilet paper. They're just running in and trying to grab however many packs off the shelf they can get, right? Don't know why we need it. It's there. Let's grab it. And they're not planning. They're not thinking ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, definitely. And so forth. I love it. I love it. So a lot of the people that are tuning in, business coach, is that accurate? Is that something you guys offer as is that the right word? Is it financial coach or business coach, or what would be the term?
Business coach, business mentoring.
Business
we do it
consulting.
differently than everybody else.
Perfect.
Much more holistic in that approach. By the way, that is a reasonable business expense that you could build into the loan.
Exactly.
Yeah. And the reason I ask is, walk for those viewers that don't know what a financial and / business coach does. Walk us through that. Is it you forecast cash flow for the business? You look at their overall financials, but also I think we talked about this before. You look at like healthcare, but also financial, even family. What is something you guys offer?
So we start off with understanding their mindset about money.
Okay.
Okay. So that we can help coach them. Why they do certain things with money, how they learned about money. And then what do they want? What do they want their business to look like? Okay. And then why are they doing what they want to do? And then the goals to get there. And then the last thing is understand the rules while you take this trip. Most business coaches do a lot of great motivational stuff, but they don't do the number stuff. The difference between us is we do the great motivational stuff and then we do the number stuff, because our clients can't tell us when we're talking to them, oh, we're doing terrific, we're doing great, because we see their numbers.
Right.
Yeah.
You can bring in $3 million a year, but if you're spending $3.5 million to do that, you do not have a successful business.
That's true. Before you know it, it's going to be negative. Yeah.
Well, it already is, and we've seen people do that.
Right.
And the biggest thing is, oh, I made $3 million. Yeah, but you spent 3.5. You need to justify, where's that $500,000 going? And it's just going out the door. So right. You don't have a successful business because you're negative every year, and it builds every year by $500,000.
So we take a very holistic approach, and we look at 5 areas, which is protection, income, credit, assets, and health. And this journey isn't going to be worthwhile if at the end of it you're not healthy enough to enjoy it. And so everyday health is really important. We're not the kind of people that say you should weigh 165 pounds, and here's what you got to do to get there. But you've got to be healthy. And so that's it's kind of an own separate journey, but it's very much related. Often the psychology behind how you feel about money and how you feel about your health are intimate. They're very, very closely related. And so understanding how your business goes through its cycles and things that you can do. And often it's really good just to have somebody from the outside looking in. You're inside fighting the battles every day, and you can't see the big picture. And having somebody outside of the company looking at it can help you make decisions wisely, just the same way as knowing your numbers and paying attention to certain things there. You can make real rational decisions based on numbers without all the drama, without all the emotion. And so that's what we're trying to do, is to bring a business to a point where decisions are intentional, they're planned, and they're successful because they are intentional and planned.
Got it. Since you guys, as you guys speak and know with a lot of business owners and you encounter them often, is there any like habits or any traits that you've noticed that successful business owners have in common, whether it's with their health habits, the way they look at purchasing or leasing assets, the way they look at debt? I'm curious to know.
They understand their numbers.
Right. I think the
Great.
greatest disservice that's been to this country in business is if you don't know your numbers, you don't know your business. If you can't tell me on Monday morning how much money you expect to come into the business in the next 5 days, you don't really know what's going on with your business. That's number one. Number two is, yes, it is health related. It's taking care of yourself. It's a rare person that can work 14 to 18 hours a day, 7 days a week, and really enjoy life. And so life is to be enjoyed. That's part of being prosperous, not just wealthy. Wealth is part of prosperity, but having a good family life, having an enjoyable life, doing the things you enjoy, and being the way you want to be, that's the most important thing. And for some people, that's a few $100,000. For other people, that could be millions of dollars. It's what do you want?
Definitely, definitely. As an individual, as a business owner, as a family man or family woman.
Right. And that's the part we don't often pay attention to. If you're going to up level your business, you've got to up level every aspect of your life. You've got to up level your relationships, your friends, everything has got to come up or you're not really moving up.
Got it, got it. What kind of advice do you guys have for somebody who feels stuck, like in the wrong social circle, in the wrong, even the wrong business? Like, how do you shake it off when you may be tied down? Do you just move to a new city? Do you just start making gradual changes? Is that something you guys encounter with some of your clients?
Absolutely.
Oh, something that we do is prosperity clarity mindset. We understand where their mind is around what they're doing and about money. And we go through this system and we ask a lot of questions so that it's funny. Once we've done that and we're working and coaching with them, we could see the traits that they're doing that they said through that conversation. We say, oh, we know where that came from. We know where you learned that. And if they want to change that, we help them change that. Okay.
Got it.
It's simple. If you want something different, change your mind.
Mindset is key.
Absolutely. You don't have to go someplace else to be somebody different. You just have to decide to be somebody different.
Exactly.
Perfect, perfect.
And something that we find too is what holds people back is also mindset. What did they learn? Who taught them what they learned?
Right.
They might want to be great. They may have a great idea of creating a great business, but somebody kept telling them in the back of their mind that rich people are terrible people. So I don't want to be rich, but I want a great business and I want to make a lot of money, but I can't be rich because someone told me I can't be rich because if I'm rich, I'm an asshole. No, that's all in programming. Someone told you that. Where did you learn that? And do you want to not have that programming anymore so that you can have free to grow? And if you're a good person, you're going to do great things with your wealth that you have. If you're a bad person, yes, those are the ones that they talk about. But if you're a good person, you're going to do better things with more money. You just have more opportunity to do it with.
Definitely. Yeah, I've always felt that that money is resources. They allow you to do what you need to do, whether it's bad because you're a bad person, like you just said, or good because you're a good person.
Right.
Exactly.
It's a tool.
Got it. Now, talking about money, do you think that the current legislation, the CARES Act, and the two bills that came before are doing enough to kind of shore up the economy, maybe revive it? There's talks about another quarter trillion stimulus bill being proposed, and I know that they're negotiation terms right now, but do we need more money, like to keep printing all this money, or what do you guys think?
Go ahead, D.
Um, you know, we kind of have to recognize it for what it is. This is a way that our politicians can get up and say they're doing something for you. The reality is, in any crisis that's happened before, and probably any crisis that happens after, it's going to be up to the individual person. If you're determined to make it, you'll make it. If they put a little more money out, I mean,
It's our money.
how do you use it? Look at all the lottery winners that go broke in a year. You know, if you don't have a plan, if you're not going to conduct good, solid, sound business, you're going to go broke. So, you know, more money isn't going to help that. If, however, you have a good plan and you stick to it and you do that kind of thing, if you can get money, great. You can just go that much faster.
You just got to understand what to do with it.
Right.
Don't blow it all,
Yeah.
because you may still have the debt.
Right. A Lamborghini's nice, but it may not be the thing you need right now.
Got it. Awesome. Thank you guys so much for your words of wisdom. And we definitely want to have you back on the show here in the coming months. Any last parting words? We'll start with you, Michael, and then Dan.
You know, find out if you're in business for yourself or not, if you find out what you want, find out what exactly you want. You know, we ask a lot of that with our clients. We ask, what do you want? And that is one of the hardest things people try to figure out.
Right.
And we're like, wow. So you start off with baby steps. What do you want? What do you want your health to look like? What kind of car do you want to drive? What kind of house you want to live in? Where do you want a house? You know, what kind of family life do you want? All these little things, but write it down. What do you want?
Got it. That's fair. I love it. Dan?
And the way to get there is, you know, it's an old cliche. People don't plan to fail, they fail to plan. And once you know what you want, then you have to plan to get it.
Got it. Plan. Don't blow all your money. And I like this a lot. If you don't know your numbers, you don't know your business.
That's it.
Numbers. Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Again, Michael LaRocco, Dan Philpott with I Know So Financial, and glad to be with us. And stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.